The top stories tonight in Y News. Tributes pour in across the Philippines and abroad for our former President Benigno Aquino III, who died from renal disease this morning. Newly acquired S-70I Black Hawk utility helicopter encounters mishap in Tarlac, leaving no survivors.
More COVID-19 vaccines to be allocated to Baguio, Cagayan de Oro, Iloilo, and 7 other cities. And antivirus software founder John McAfee has been found dead in his prison cell in Spain.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, June 24, 2021. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I'm Angelo Castro III.
First in the news, the sisters of former President Benigno Noynoy Aquino III officially confirmed the passing of their brother. In a statement read by Pinky Aquino Abellada, the family revealed that Noynoy's cause of death was renal disease secondary to diabetes. Looking back, Pinky read how her brother took on the challenges of being the country's leader. Aside from thanking the medical team who took care of the former president during his health ordeal, the family also expressed their gratitude to the Filipino people who supported him in his political career. Let's listen again to the statement of the Aquino sisters.
Kagaya ng serbisyong binigay niya sa bayan, hindi maingay, trabahong galing sa puso, dahil alam niya, kayo ang boss niya. Kaya nga nakilala siya bilang si PNOY dahil ayaw niyang maramdaman na dapat siyang bigyan ng kakaibang pansin. Hangarin niyang hindi mapahiya sa inyo dahil sa paghikayat na mahirap man, pero tama na sundin ang daan matuwid. Nagawa niya ang lahat ng yon. Masakit po para sa amin na tahimik niyang tinanggap ang mga batikos. Natatak sa aming mga magkakapatid na nung sinabihan namin siyang magsalita at labanan ang mga maling haka-haka, simple lang ang sagot niya sa amin. Kaya pa niyang matulog sa gabi. Hinarap niya ang lahat ng investigasyon at akusasyon. Sandigan Bayan, November 2017, Senado noong December 2017, at Kongreso noong February 2018. Because when you enter public service, when you serve with honesty and dignity, and you know you have committed no crimes against the people, hindi ka matatakot magsabi ng totoo. Pribado po siyang tao. Bago pa man ang pandemic, labas-pasok na po siya sa ospital. Nais namin magpasalamat sa lahat ng mga doktor at sa buong medical team na nag-alaga sa kapatid namin. Naramdaman namin bilang mga kapatid niya that they did everything to make him comfortable. They became compassionate friends who gave him true respect by valuing and protecting his privacy. Sa lahat ng mga totoong kaibigan niya na walang palya siyang dinadalaw, tinetext, pinapadalhan ng pagkain, sinasamahan at pinoprotektahan siya, salamat po. Sa mga madre at pare na malapit sa pamilya namin na walang sawang pinagdasal ang kanyang paggaling, salamat din po. Sa tropa niya, kay Ivy at siguro ang numero 1 sa listahan, si Yoli, na 30 years siyang inalagaan. Lahat ng kasama niya sa Times Street na mula nung pandemic, bihirang nag-o-off dahil alam nila delikado para sa kanya. Salamat. Sa mga botante ng 2nd District ng Tarlac noong 1998, kayo ang unang bumoto sa kanya. Sa inyo siya nagsimula, 3 terms ang nabuo niya. Sa 14.3 million Filipinos na in 2007 voted for him to become senator, and sa 15.2 million Filipinos na nagtiwala sa kanya noong 2010 at binigay ang pinakamalaking karangalan na pwedeng ipagkaloob sa kahit na sinong Pilipino. Habang buhay namin tatanawin na utang na loob yung naibigay ninyo sa aming kapatid. Maraming salamat po. It is with profound grief that on behalf of our family, I am confirming that our brother, Benigno Noynoy Aquino III, died peacefully in his sleep. His death certificate pronounced his death at 6:30 a.m. due to renal disease secondary to diabetes. No words can express how broken our hearts are and how long it will take for us to accept the reality that he is gone. Mission accomplished, Kanoy. Be happy now with Dad and Mom. We love you and we are so blessed to have had the privilege to have had you as our brother. We will miss you forever, Noy.
Lawmakers and other government officials from across the political spectrum paid their last respect to former President Noynoy Aquino III. The remains of the late president will be taken to the Heritage Memorial Park at Fort Bonifacio in Taguig City. And to give us some updates, Nel Maribuhok is in Taguig City live. Yes, Nel, good evening. Who are the personalities over there?
Cabinet members of late President Noynoy Aquino have arrived here in Heritage Park in Taguig. Former Senator Bam Aquino also paid respect to his cousin. He said Noynoy done his best for the country up to the last moment of his life.
We remember lahat ng mga nagawa niya para sa ating bayan, na binigay niya lahat ng makakaya niya para sa ating bayan. You know, marami nagsasabi ngayon, sa mga pagkakamali, sabi ko, wala namang perfect dito sa ating mundo. Pero si Pinoy, at least alam ko, ginawa niya yung lahat para sa atin. Ginawa niya yung lahat para sa bayan natin.
Also, the former House Speaker, Sunny Belmonte, arrived here in Taguig City.
Alam niyo, 6 na taon akong speaker under him, and we had a lot of fun, mga interactions with one another. And one thing I can say is yun ba ang matwid ni President Noy, kahit na doon sabihin natin hindi na bali yon.
According to Belmonte, he knew the former president's condition, but never thought it has something like this. Meanwhile, Chris Aquino announced that his brother remains were cremated and will be laid to rest beside his parents in Manila Memorial.
Yes, meron. Tomorrow is going to be transferred according to them. Yata na yung campus yata. Kasalukuyan nag-cremate.
We will await for another announcement from the family regarding the final setup for tomorrow's funeral. Will?
Yes, thank you very much, Nel Maribuhok, reporting live from Heritage Memorial Park.
Public officials and personalities pay their tribute to former President Noynoy Aquino following his passing this morning. For some, they just lost not only a true leader, but a friend. Arlene Delgado has the story.
The Senate and the House of Representatives flags have been flown at half-mast to mourn the death of former President Noynoy Aquino, who also served as a legislator for years. For Senate President Vicente Soto III, Aquino's death is a big loss to the country. Senator Amy Marcos also offered her condolences to the Aquino family and described her former colleague as a kind and simple soul. Senator Panfilo Lacson called Aquino's passing as heartbreaking. For the senator, the former president served the country with humility, honor, and integrity, noting that he did not deserve to be unappreciated. For Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon, he lost a dear friend and the country lost an honest man. Former Senators Francis Cheese Escudero, Loren Legarda, and Antonio Trillanes IV also paid tributes to the former statesman. House leaders, including House Speaker Lord Alan Velasco and House Majority Leader Martin Romualdez, were also saddened to learn the passing of the former president. Meanwhile, former Vice President Jejomar Binay also offered his condolences to the Aquino family. According to Binay, they may have had political differences during the last few years of Aquino's term, but this will not diminish the many years of friendship between their families. His predecessors, former Presidents Joseph Estrada and Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, offered prayers and bid their farewells to the late president. Former Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales called the former president as brave, an example of decency, and earned the Filipino people the international respect. Supreme Court Associate Justice Marvic Leonen also expressed his profound sadness over the death of the former president. Leonen, an Aquino appointee and the former chief negotiator of the Aquino administration in the peace talks with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, described the former president as someone who carried his title with dignity and integrity. Local government units also paid tribute to Aquino, with flags in the cities flown at half-mast. Institutions from the international community, including the Embassy of the United States and the European Union, also offered their condolences to the Aquino family. Jorlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Flags in several areas in the Philippines are lowered in half-mast in honor of late former President Benigno Aquino III. Several supporters offered bouquet of flowers in Aquino's residence in Quezon City to express sympathy. Marvin Calas will give us the details live. Yes, Marvin, go ahead.
Diego, the situation at the Aquino's residence at Times Street, Quezon City has been peaceful for the rest of the day. Few personalities visited the residence and a majority went to Heritage Park, where the remains of former President Benigno Noynoy Aquino were laid. Only a half-mast flag at the residence remains as a symbol of solitude with their loss. Since the news of President Aquino's death broke this morning, some vehicles have entered the residence, but the personalities aboard were not identified. Only his close nephew Joshua Aquino appeared to come this morning. The media waited for some relatives to deliver their statement in front of the house, but to no avail. Meanwhile, some supporters of the late president offered flowers at the gate to extend their condolences. A group also delivered tarpaulins expressing their heartfelt farewell messages to the president. One of the neighbors of the Aquinos expressed longing to once again see the president's modest way of living.
Simple lang, tahimik lang. Wala ka naman nakikitang ano dyan sa kanya. Kasi simple lang bakit? Lagi ko siya dati nakikita nakatayo lang dyan, naka-shorts. Parang simpleng tao. Hindi mo sa kalain dati senador na nakatayo lang siya. Yun lang ma-miss ko sa kanya.
Aside from the Aquino's residence, several agencies of the government are on half-mast flag to express their grief along with the Filipino people, including the Congress, the Office of Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, as well as the Malacanang Palace. Both gates of the Times Street remains closed and only residents were allowed to enter. Some police officers, including personnel of the Department of Public Order and Safety in Quezon City, are on guard to secure the peace and order in front of the Aquino residence. That's our latest live. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you for that live report, Marvin Calas.
Meanwhile, no survivors have been found in the mishap involving the military's newly acquired S-701 Black Hawk utility helicopter. The Philippine Air Force, or PAF, reported that search and retrieval operations are ongoing. The search was prompted when the aircraft was reported late from the estimated time of return to its station at Clark Air Base, Pampanga. Following the incident, all other newly acquired Black Hawk helicopters will not be flown while the investigation is ongoing. The fleet of 16 Polish-made Sikorsky S-701 Black Hawk helicopters were acquired by the government in March 2019 for 12.1 billion pesos.
The drunk police officer who shot dead a 52-year-old woman in Quezon City is now dismissed from service. Police Master Sergeant NC ZINAMPAN was found guilty of grave misconduct and conduct unbecoming of an officer over the killing. Kaya Ilagan reports.
Philippine National Police Chief Police General Guillermo Eleazar signed the dismissal order of Police Master Sergeant NC ZINAMPAN a day after the PNP Internal Affairs Service submitted their recommendation. With the dismissal, General Eleazar said ZINAMPAN will no longer receive any benefits from the organization.
Today, I signed the dismissal order of Police Master Sergeant Hensi ZINAMPAN, who was found guilty of grave misconduct and conduct unbecoming of a police officer.
The PNP also said that his dismissal is proof that the organization does not condone any abuse and wrongdoings among the police ranks.
Ito din ay nagpapatunay na ang disciplinary mechanism sa PNP ay gumagana, matatag at maasahan.
Eleazar said that ZINAMPAN dismissal should serve as a warning to all PNP personnel.
That I will not tolerate wrongdoings in our organization and a constant reminder for each and every one of us to live up to what the three important and meaningful words in the PNP seal: service, honor, and justice.
On May 31st, ZINAMPAN was caught on video grabbing Lilibet Valdez by the hair before shooting her in Sitio Ruby, Barangay Greater Fairview, Quezon City. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
For those watching our 24/7 live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook.
The cities of Baguio, Cagayan de Oro, and Iloilo will now be included in the government's COVID-19 vaccination priority. This means that more vaccine supplies will be allocated in the said areas that are experiencing a COVID-19 surge. Rosalie Cos explains why.
Apart from the NCR Plus 8 areas, 10 more cities are included in the priority list of the government in terms of vaccine distribution. This vaccination prioritization depends on the vaccine supplies arriving in the country. The plus 10 cities are Bacolod, Iloilo, Cagayan de Oro, Baguio, Zamboanga, Dumaguete, Tuguegarao, General Santos, Naga, and Legazpi. According to the palace, they were chosen because of their COVID-19 situation as well as other factors.
Ang naging basehan ay ang tumataas nilang mga kaso or surging cases, ang kanilang pagiging highly urbanized at dense environment, at kanilang kontribusyon sa regional or national economy.
Meanwhile, UST Professor of Biological Sciences Nicanor Austriaco supports the action of the government. Austriaco believes that in terms of vaccination rate in the country, containment and population protection in the NCR Plus 8 areas will be achieved within the target period.
So if you build a COVID-proof wall around the cities, it is actually a wall around our entire country. And I think this is so important to emphasize that to focus on the urban areas, to focus first on the NCR Plus 8, then the NCR Plus 8 plus 10, is to build a wall around the entire country because it will allow even our non-vaccinated kababayans to live safely because they are protected by those who live in the cities who are themselves vaccinated.
The government consistently monitors the COVID-19 situation in various parts of the country. Its strategies include allocating vaccines to areas with high cases of infection. The palace has no details yet on how many vaccine shots will be allocated to the plus 10 areas. However, the percentage of allocation of vaccines in Metro Manila Plus areas will remain as these are the center of COVID-19 outbreak in the country. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The highly infectious Delta variant is now considered a dominant variant causing COVID-19 case surge in 85 countries around the globe. Nations are strengthening measures to prevent its spread, but a new mutation worries health experts, which they call the Delta Plus variant. What do experts say on how dangerous the Delta Plus variant affects the efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines? Our health correspondent Aiko Miguel files this report.
The globally dominant Delta variant has a transmissibility ratio of 1:8, which means a person infected with it can infect 8 more people. Although based on the report of India's Union Health Ministry that it is more transmissible, there is no detailed data yet on Delta Plus variant's transmissibility ratio, but it is considered more infectious than where it mutated from, the Delta variant. In a tweet of an epidemiologist and health economist Dr. Eric Ding, the Delta Plus mutation of Delta variant has just upgraded to a variant of concern. This means it has increased transmissibility, it has stronger binding to receptor of lung cells, and potential reduction in monoclonal antibody response. Dr. Ronjin Solante, an infectious disease expert and vaccine expert panel member, explained how the Delta variant affects the drugs and COVID-19 vaccines currently being used in different countries.
That additional mutation is also related with higher transmissibility or can reduce the efficacy of some of these vaccines, including the treatment using the monoclonal antibodies. No? So that's why that makes it more higher dangerous. This monoclonal antibody will block the COVID virus so that it will also decrease its ability to multiply. So from that aspect, if you have a patient with mild COVID and you will be given a monoclonal antibody, your risk of progressing to moderate or severe is cut up to 70 to 80%, and that has been also already used now in the US for mild cases, highly vulnerable, immunocompromised, and those with comorbidities.
According to Dr. Solante, a booster might be needed to protect people from the Delta Plus variant.
Kaya itong mga bagong bakuna ngayon nalalabas, and I would surmise there will be modifications that they will also be effective. But at current evidence, nakitaan naman natin na itong mga bakuna, even their first generation, they're still effective against these variants of concern. The only question is how long their efficacy will last, okay? And how high is the efficacy with these variants of concern. In order to prevent more mutations, is to really vaccinate as much as possible and as fast as we can.
Currently, experts in the country are still studying the inoculation of booster shots and the mix and match of COVID-19 vaccines in different parts of the world. According to the Department of Health, they are open to adopt mix and match vaccine findings from other countries. Experts are also studying the inoculation of booster shots to fully vaccinated individuals.
Overall, we are waiting for results of mix and match studies in other countries. At the same time, our local counterpart, so DOST, PCHRD, so the Department of Science and Technology, is also funding a local trial of vaccine mix and match. No? So regardless, if may maunang results na lumabas, we will refer to that as our basis for recommending or putting into policy a mix and match policy. So for now, what is clear is we stick to the EUA provisions, which is still same brand for first and second dose.
Experts advise that although the more transmissible COVID-19 variants like Alpha, Delta, and Delta Plus reduce the efficacy of vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines, whichever brand, can still give protection against the existing COVID-19 variants reported in different countries. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippines' cumulative tally of COVID-19 cases climbed to 1,378,260 after the Department of Health or DOH reported 6,043 additional infections. Based on its latest data, the country's active infections stood at 51,410. Of this figure, 90.6% were mild, 4.5% were asymptomatic, 2% were severe, 1.4% were in critical condition, while 1.44% were moderate cases. The total numbers of recoveries increased to 1,302,814 after 4,486 more patients recovered from the viral disease. However, 108 more fatalities were recorded. This brought the total to 24,036, with the country's case fatality rate at 1.74%. The Manila City formally opens its mega COVID-19 field hospital in Rizal Park. The construction of the facility was completed in just 52 days. Janice Inhente has the story.
More than 300 COVID-19 patients can be accommodated in this newly built mega COVID-19 field hospital in Manila City. Patients with mild symptoms or non-severe COVID-19 patients can be brought here. It was opened today by the local government in conjunction with the celebration of the 450th founding anniversary of the City of Manila. The city government allotted 154 million pesos for its construction, and it was completed in just 52 days.
This can cater a good numbers of patients. Mabibigyan natin ng ample care and proper care yung mga posibleng magka-infeksyon.
The facility has an embedded oxygen system and dormitory for health workers. According to the Manila City LGU, 200 medical frontliners will be assigned at the field hospital. It is also open for non-Manila residents. Mayor Domagoso noted that the facility would help doctors, nurses, and medical frontliners as it is expected to unclog hospitals.
So ang pangarap natin maging COVID-19 free yung hospital para bumalik na yung tao na magpa-check up. So if they will hear that some of our hospital is COVID free because hinigop namin sila dito at nakakonsentrate na lang ang COVID dito, gagaang ang takbo ng hospital.
Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, the European Center for Disease Prevention Control warns that the highly contagious Delta variant is expected to account for 90% of coronavirus cases in the European Union by the end of August. Olga Chalian will tell us why live. Yes, Paul, please go ahead.
Mariel, the Delta variant, which originated from India, is estimated to be 40 to 60% more contagious than the Alpha variant, according to the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control, or ECDC, on Wednesday. ECDC's report is similar to the World Health Organization's statement last week, which states that the Delta variant is becoming more dominant globally. Here is what ECDC Director Andrea Ammon had to say about the Delta variant.
It is very likely that the Delta variant will circulate extensively during the summer, particularly among younger individuals that are not yet targeted for vaccination. This could cause a risk for the more vulnerable individuals to be infected and experience severe illness and death if they are not fully vaccinated.
The warning from the health agency came as European nations start to ease restrictions following a fall in new COVID cases due to the increased transmissibility of the Delta variant. The ECDC urged countries to be cautious about easing restrictions as this could lead to a sudden increase in daily cases across all age groups. ECDC further emphasized the importance of rolling out vaccines at a very high pace to stop the spread of the virus. So far, about 30% of those aged 80 and over and 40% of those 60 and above are still not fully vaccinated. Mariel?
Paul, in relation to the Delta variant's high transmissibility, is there any study that's been conducted to support the efficacy of the existing COVID-19 vaccines?
Mariel, a recent study by Oxford University suggests that 2 doses of a COVID-19 vaccine, and particularly those made by AstraZeneca and Pfizer, offer higher protection against Delta variant. Furthermore, Public Health England showed that these vaccines provided more than 90% protection against hospitalization linked to the Delta variant. Mariel?
Thank you, Paul Gatchalian, for that live report. A naval dispute between Russian and British warships presented themselves in the waters of the Black Sea on Wednesday, though British officials say there was no conflict encountered. Elsie Marcos tells us the details live. Yes, Elsie, please go ahead.
Mariel, one of Russia's warships patrolling the waters of the Black Sea on Wednesday fired live ammunition as warning shots at British destroyer after it entered 3 kilometers into the territorial waters of Moscow near Crimea. According to the Defense Ministry of Russia, the HMS Defender ignored the signals of intrusions as they neared Russia's naval base in Crimea. Russia's Su-24 bomber then deployed 4 bombs in the forefront of the Defender to further convince to reroute, which they did moments later. The Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova condemned the occurrence as a rude provocation that defies international law. A UK military attaché was called in to explain the action of the crew, urging the British officials to investigate the dangerous move. On the other hand, the Defense Ministry of Britain denied claims that the destroyer was fired on or has breached Russian waters, but rather they sailed through Ukrainian waters. The UK is one of many nations alongside the North Atlantic Treaty Organization allies that have agreed in supporting Ukraine with boosting their naval capabilities. However, in previous weeks, Russian armed forces officials criticized the movement of warships in the borders of Russian waters. Moscow admitted to firing live ammunition to discourage the NATO warship from crossing Russia's territorial waters, a mere display of the increasing tensions between Russia and Western nations, Ukraine and NATO allies. Marielle?
Elsie, why is there a growing tension between Russia and Western nations?
Marielle, recently, there has been a steep rise in tensions between the two sides, raising precautions about the risks of military incidents like the naval dispute on Wednesday. The conflict is deeply rooted in the events of 2014, when Russia conducted an annexation of Crimea from Ukraine. Since then, constant military conflict with fragile ceasefires between the two nations have been present, leading to 14,000 people have reportedly been killed. The actions of Russia has broken the values, principle, and commitments which make up the NATO-Russia relationship, and the NATO have explicitly condemned the annexation of Crimea. Back to you, Marielle.
All right, Elsie Marcos, thank you for that live report. Creator of McAfee antivirus software, John McAfee, was found dead in his prison cell in Spain at the age of 75. Marvin Delfin will give us the details live. Marvy, what is the reason behind John McAfee's death, and wasn't his extradition to the United States had just been approved?
Riel, the controversial antivirus magnate, was found dead in the Bryan Street prison in northeastern Spain around 1 p.m. on Wednesday, but the cause of his death is still under investigation, according to a spokeswoman for the Superior Court of Catalonia. A statement from the Catalonia Regional Government Justice said that prison medical personnel and guards tried to revive him, but the resuscitation was unsuccessful. It also added that everything in the scene indicates that McAfee could have died from suicide. The statement did not identify McAfee by name, but stated the man was a 75-year-old U.S. citizen awaiting extradition to his country. A ruling from Spain's National Court in Madrid was favored on Monday this week on McAfee's extradition to the United States to face his charges there. In October last year, McAfee was arrested in Spain after being indicted in the United States for his tax evasion. McAfee argued in his earlier hearing this month that the charges against him by the prosecutors in Tennessee were politically motivated and that he would spend the rest of his life in prison if he returned to the U.S. Marielle?
Thank you, Marvi Delfin, live from Perth, Australia. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Mariela Toza, live from Perth, Australia. Good evening.
A leaked draft report from the United Nations reveal that climate devastation is accelerating and will become obvious within 30 years. RK Llorca tells us the details live. Yes, RK, good evening, go ahead.
Yes, William, good evening. Even if humans master the science behind planet-warming greenhouse gas emissions, Earth will never be the same in the next few decades to come, as climate change will fundamentally reshape the life on Earth. This is according to the most comprehensive report ever drafted by Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or the IPCC. IPCC's 4,000-page report revealed there will be ecosystem collapse, unlivable heat, cities dissolved by rising seas, extinction of species, and more widespread disease that are bound to be more glaring before a child born today turns 30. And that is just the beginning, according to UN. The worst is yet to come, affecting younger generations. However, the document, which is designed to influence policymakers, is yet to be released in February 2022, 3 months short of the scheduled UN Climate Change Conference this November. Director of Hugo Observatory and author on the IPCC report, Francois Gemin, said the draft will undergo revisions and may include extra sections. He also said that it will be a serious mistake to think that any focus on the key messages was helpful. William?
Yes, RK, there's very little good news in that report. Was there a mention of possible solutions that should be adopted to at least lessen the effects of climate change? Could you give us a rundown of some of the key messages on the draft?
You're right, William. This is quite a serious matter. In fact, 3 out of 4 key messages pertains to the comprehensive details of the onslaught of climate change. Among them includes chronic hunger, severe drought, and lethal heat waves. But the final takeaway here stresses that much can be done to avoid or to prevent worst-case scenarios, citing examples such as conservation and restoration of the so-called blue carbon ecosystems, as well as transitioning to a more plant-based diets, which could reduce food-related emissions by as much as 70% by 2050. Back to you, William.
Yes, thank you. RK Llorca reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. Meanwhile, the prices of vegetables in some markets have increased. According to the Department of Agriculture, it is just normal during this season. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The increase in the prices of several agriculture commodities is attributed to supply issues. According to Agriculture Assistant Secretary Christine Evangelista, during this season, farms harvest less vegetables, resulting to higher prices in the market. The onset of the rainy season adds to the difficulty of some farmers.
Ang presyo talaga ng ating gulay is dependent doon sa panahon kasi affected syempre sir yung harvest nila.
Pechay, string beans, and ampalaya or bitter gourd have increased from 10 to 20 pesos per kilogram. Meanwhile, highland vegetables like cabbage has a stable price, while sayote slightly increased. Carrots decreased by 10 pesos.
And when the production is lower than you expect, then definitely the price points will change.
Attorney Vic Dimagipa of Laban Consumer argued that there is no reason for vegetable prices to increase because they are being sold in the market at a farm gate price. He adds that the relaxing of community quarantine drives people to go to market, so vendors grab the opportunity to earn more. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Online voting for the 2022 elections is not yet approved by the Commission on Elections, but overseas Filipinos are now urged to take part in the exploratory test use of a mobile voting application. Dante Amento will tell us why.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, announced it has signed a memorandum of agreement with 2 internet voting providers as part of its preparations for the conduct of the live test runs of its internet voting systems. In a statement, COMELEC said the internet voting test runs form parts of the Commission's exploratory study of the internet-based technologies for possible use in internet voting. The test run is third phase of the implementation plan, which will involve the actual test voting activity, the poll body said. According to Rowena Guanzon, Commissioner in charge for overseas voting, the test runs, which come at no cost to the Commission, will begin in July. Test voters who previously signified interest and have given their consent will participate in a mock election using the solutions providers, apps, or platforms. The final call for participants in the test runs will end on June 25 at 5 p.m. Meanwhile, according to COMELEC spokesperson Director James Jimenez, the voting hours in 2022 polls may be extended. From the usual 8 hours in the past elections, it may last up to 12 hours.
Ang hamon dyan is, ang dami-dami nating botante. Aabutin ba tayo ng 2 araw ng botohan dito? Now, here's the thing. It's not allowed under the law to have 2 days. Wala tayong authority na extend ng 2 araw yung botohan. And besides, kahit naman bigyan tayo ng authority ng batas na mag 2 days na voting, papatulugin mo yung balota ng isang gabi, medyo security-wise malaking risk yun.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Before living a private life, former President Noynoy served as the country's highest official for 6 years. Let us look back on some of his key achievements and how his friends and colleagues will remember him. Arlene Delgado has the story.
Walang wangwang, walang counterflow, walang tong. Kayo ang boss ko. Kaya't hindi maaaring hindi ako makinig sa mga utos ninyo.
These were some of the key promises that former President Benigno Aquino III, or PNOY, made to the Filipino people when he sworn in as the country's 15th president. From 2010 to 2016, PNOY led the country while carrying his slogan, Daang Matuwid, or Straight Path. But before he entered the presidency, former President Noynoy was first a legislator. He served as the 2nd District Representative of Tarlac at the House of Representatives from 1998 to 2007, then became a senator until 2010. During his term as the country's top official, some of the landmark legislations passed include Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act, Enhanced Basic Education Act that established the K-12 system, AFP Modernization Act, and the Domestic Workers Act, or Batas Kasambahay. The previous administration also took pride in economic achievements, including creating more jobs and economic growth within 6 years. It was also during the Aquino administration that the Philippines asserted its rights in the West Philippine Sea by filing a case before the Permanent Court of Arbitration. The Philippines won after the tribunal invalidated the 9-line claim of China in the South China Sea. For Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara, it was one of former President Aquino's biggest decisions, adding that only history will judge if it was his greatest decision ever made. Meanwhile, some personalities in former President Noynoy's life also recalled their moments with the president as a friend and as a leader. For Vice President Leni Robredo, Pinoy was a silent worker who worked tirelessly for the people.
Naalala ko rin ang mga sandali na nagpakita siya ng kabutihang loob sa akin. PNOY was a kind, steadying presence in the days after my late husband's plane crash. Alam kong pareho kami nagluluksa noon. Nawalan ako ng asawa at siya ng kaibigan. He extended kindness to my daughters at sinigurong matutugunan ang mga pangangailangan namin even after Jessie's death.
Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. described Aquino as incorruptible and brave under armed attack who ruled the country while setting aside his emotions. Senator Risa Hontiveros also praised the leadership of the former president, including his anti-corruption initiatives.
I would say he's one of the best things that happened to our country pagkatapos ng 1986 People Power Revolution. He's a good man at ang dami nating mabuting nagawa during his watch.
And for Senate President Pro Tempore Ralph Recto, Pinoy was a profile of courage and a man of convictions. Pinoy, according to Recto, preferred a silent but solid work over attention. Despite all the criticisms and various allegations Pinoy faced for the Aquino family, Noynoy fought till the end and kept his word to the Filipino people.
Miski sa pagbaba sa pwesto hanggang sa aking huling hininga. Makakaasa kayo gaya ng walang patid ninyong pananatili bilang aking lakas, hindi rin kayo mag-iisa. Sasamahan ko kayo, tatabihan ko kayo, magkakapit-bisig ng isang nating isa sa buhay ang daang matwid.
Harding Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
President Rodrigo Duterte joins the entire nation in mourning the passing of former President Benigno Aquino III. President Duterte also thanked the former president for his service to the country and expressed his deepest sympathies to the family of the former chief executive. The chief executive also urged Filipinos to take this opportunity to unite in prayer and set aside the differences to pay respect to a leader who has given his best to serve the Filipino people.
It is with profound sadness that I learned of the passing of the former President, Benigno S. Aquino III, this morning. We thank the former President for his service to our country. I hope that my fellow Filipinos will be inspired by his legacy. I offer my heartfelt condolences to the Aquino family. Be assured of the government's assistance in this period of mourning. And above all, please accept the love and the prayers of a grateful nation.
And before we close, we will leave you with a final word, giving glory to God from the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 10. It says, "Love worketh no ill to his neighbors, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law."
And those are the reasons behind the news, June 24, 2021. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.